Hello, welcome to the Dungeon
Hey!
Cooldown, everybody. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday! Wow, Dungeon Cooldown is back, babies.
Oh yeah, we were off last week, huh?
We were off last week. It felt a little. It weirdly felt longer than the 2 weeks that it's been. But yeah, here we are. We've been doing a lot, obviously. But welcome to the Dungeon Cooldown, folks. This is our companion show to the Dungeon Run, if you don't know already. If you don't know, why not? Come on, get with it. No, just kidding. I'm Morgan Peter Brown. This is the amazing co-host, Jessica Lynn Parsons, for the day. We are your hosts for today. And this is our Patreon-supported sideshow to the Dungeon Run, where we get into awesome chats, have discussions, dive deep. Jessica and I will occasionally do conspiracy theories on all kinds of things. But we're so excited to be here with you all today. Chafrika says, I hope this cooldown will just be a debate of the great betrayal stab of 2022.
Hey, I blame Gabe. That's it.
Do you?
I do.
Do you?
Yep.
All right. I mean,
he gave me such a cool thing to do. I didn't have a choice.
I mean, you have your own free will, last I checked. I don't know if that'll hold up in fantasy court.
What's your definition of free will?
You were suggested something, and you went, yes, I'll take that. And you were given other options.
Well, I want to say hi to some folks in chat.
Yes.
The first person in chat was Gwestbrook. Hi. Ooh. Thank you for showing up early, as well as Dead Feather. Hello. Vision XD5588 subbed, and they have been subscribed for 13 months to our channel. So thank you so much. Yo, what's
that's
up?
As long as our channels existed.
Oh yeah. Pnaz99, Tiger Lily, Dazmir, Liquid, Chafrikas to a Mask. Who else? Elliot, Pomplamoose. Hi everybody.
Who else? Elliot remarks, it's only 2 minutes in, we're already at what's your definition of free will? We go deep immediately. We don't mess around here on the Dungeon Cooldown. Oh my goodness, we have so much to talk about today though. We've got Fortune and Fate episode 2, which was just last week. We've got Ron and Jared's upcoming Arcane Artistry on Wednesday night, which we know a little bit about what they're talking about, and it's been quite the fire on the Discord and on the Patreon boards in terms of all the questions for Ron and Jared coming this Wednesday night. So they are going to be talking a lot about their plans for Campaign 2, some of which we can't even see. Like Jessica and I will not be allowed to see. The secret rooms have started already. What are we gonna do? But this is how we like it apparently around here.
We can watch the first. I think they said maybe like the first hour, and then we can watch the rest of it.
What we are told is that there will be a definitive point in the evening when they will go like, all right, Jess, Morgan, Katie, get out of here.
I signed up for a class during the beginning of the show, so I might not make it for any of it, but
got it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna rewatch the first half later.
For sure. But we will get to that in a little bit. First of all, Fortune and Fate episode 2, if you haven't seen it yet, wow, what a night. Lot to unpack. We had 2 new characters with Christina and Katie, who I think, Jessica, our tactic is now clear for Fortune and Fate, which is let's make the most adorable party possible so that Gabe doesn't kill us.
Yeah, I don't think you or I got that memo.
No,
going
we didn't.
in. So
you and I are pretty.
We're stuck with our choices.
We're pretty stabbable, obviously.
Yeah. So if you're wondering about what happened with the stab moment, and you haven't seen the episode yet, this is your spoiler warning. We're about to talk about it.
It was.
So.
Listen. Morgan the storyteller, like, you know, one of the people behind the scenes was super excited about it. I was like, whoa, this is intense. But yeah, I think someone, I forget who said it, someone in the Discord or chat was like, how the stakes are so high already on Fortune and Fate in 2 episodes, and it's like, it's absolutely
That's
true.
Great.
Yeah, there's something so dangerous about everything, and part of it is definitely Gabe. Gabe, basically, who feels like he could kill us at any moment, but we're, by the nature of the story, we're literally getting thrown into these situations.
Yeah.
And we're still learning so much about these characters And I mean, let's talk about Zell for a second. I was very, there's been some things we've all clocked about Zell. Zell seemed a little, not chummy with the Rakshasa in episode 1, but you seemed a little more DTP.
A little more DTP, which the shirt has been designed. Hopefully Ron will be showing that all to you on Wednesdays. I like it a lot. I'm definitely gonna wear it.
It's a good one. It is a good one. Sticky Pants, we are level 3 characters at the moment.
Oh my god, Sticky Pants.
Sticky Pants. I think
Morgan,
that's
an
a reference
inside joke.
to you.
Yep,
yeah.
That's an inside joke from my pole dancing stream.
Family
Sticky
show.
Family friendly pole Actually, I am doing family friendly pole dancing this Tuesday because I'm doing it in a T-Rex costume. In a purple T-Rex costume. So
please don't hurt yourself.
Bring your kids.
I do occasionally need you conscious.
You only need to be conscious on occasional Mondays and Wednesdays.
It's true, but please don't damage yourself too much pole dancing in a T-Rex costume.
I am gonna be shoving my feet, my dino feet into my boots, so they'll have a little bit more grip.
Wow.
Yeah. So, what were we saying before the T-Rex thing?
Characters.
Yeah, things that you've clocked about Zell. Yeah, she seemed quite chummy. Yeah, there's a couple. There's
human rogue.
Yeah, there's also there's definitely things that Gabe has dropped that are, if you're paying attention, you'll probably get it.
I've caught in a couple of them. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Something about a swamp.
Yep.
That was a very interesting moment because it took me a second to realize, Gabe is describing things that each of us would be attracted by. And for you, he said swamp or bog water. And you went, ooh. And I was like, what? It was like a moment of, who am I with? And it's that great D&D thing of when your characters don't know each other before the adventure starts. You're like, all right, cool. All right, this is a good team. We're all together. All right, wait a minute, you what? What's your name?
But I think, didn't we say that Ned has known Zell for a while?
I think we had crossed paths. I think that was you and I decided we definitely crossed paths in kind of as mercenaries prior to this. But I still don't think do either of us particularly seem like each other that are particularly forthcoming with personal details?
Definitely
no.
Not. I mean, not even if you were had become friends, I don't think. I think any personal details between two rogues would be purely by accident.
Welcome back to Between Two Rogues.
I like playing a rogue, and I like playing a little bit more evil. It's fun. It's fun to give myself permission to be a little more apathetic about what's happening, kind of yeah, just give me the money.
It can be
I don't
fun,
care about
yes.
the moral quandaries that we're going through. I only care about getting paid.
What are we doing? Come on. I also I think you and I, without even fully intending to, we wanted to make sure we weren't playing the same subclass as Rogue, but we're playing two very different rogues. Which,
Mine's a Phantom Rogue.
Right, and Ned is a Soul Knife Rogue. Which there's lots of story there for Ned. What Ned's deal is, but how they utilize the skills is very different.
Yeah. Well, in the last game, Zell didn't even fight. She just hid and ran.
Did any of us fight? Yes, Kaylee actually. Kaylee delivered a vicious mockery to the purple worm, which was an interesting decision.
Adorable.
Which actually, yes, let's get into our new characters from the episode. Christina Ariel, just again,
round of applause.
Immediate Hall of Fame. And I asked this question on the Discord, Jessica, and I think you're uniquely able to answer it. What is it with these angelic children who keep wandering into our adventures?
I don't know. I think it's just that a person touched by God seems quite angelic, and I think maybe when you think of angelic, you think of small human. And also,
sometimes.
if there's gonna be if you're gonna play a child in D&D, I don't know that there's a better class to play than a cleric, because that's the easiest way to justify why you're able to fight, why you are fighting. It's because you've been chosen by a god. Because I mean, even if you're like a druid or a rogue or anything else that doesn't involve a patron.
A bard, kind of, which actually Kaylee is a cleric bard. She is. I didn't ask. I think she said she was 1 level cleric, 2 levels bard. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, I don't recall. Yeah, but even a bard, you know, like, you're squishy. Like, what are you doing, small child?
Get out of here.
But I know that I think well, I guess we never found out her actual age, just like Brick.
I was gonna say, we don't actually know how old she is. We're referring to her as a child right now, but I mean, Kaylee's secret could be that she is secretly like 300 years old.
Yeah.
And she's just decided over 300 years that the most important thing in her life is candy. Yes, which valid. We've all been there.
Dasmere, we do need a Kaylee and Brick meetup where they don't fight and spend the entire time discussing different things.
I completely agree. Yes.
What's your favorite candy? My favorite candy, anything that goes pop, 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 pop in my mouth.
Absolutely true. Just a good, what do you call it? Sparkle Pops.
Do you have a daddy? I have a lot of daddies.
Nope. Nope. Who else? Elliot points out that technically Red did fight a tiny little lady. Yes, there was an attack made. There was an attack made with a book against a tiny gnome woman. And then Katie Michaels, when Katie Michaels told us she was playing a dragonborn barbarian, I got very excited. But also knowing that she was always going to put her Katie Michaels spin on it, you're like, that's not the whole story. I'm sure it's not. Yeah. Yeah,
I love her. I love the mom energy that she brought to that character. It's fun to have mom energy in a party.
Yes.
Because it's kind of like, I mean, I'm always giving like a side eye to the mom as well as the child. Like, what are you doing here? What?
Why are you here?
Mom? What are you doing with that great axe?
Because people like you are here. Yes. Jafrika says, Ned has been giving off major alien-taking behavioral notes to assimilate vibes. That's interesting. I don't think Ned... be sus of Ned if you wish. I think Ned... There's a Vidalcan trait that I'm trying to play, which is that they're perfectionists and they are about like, and so that's kind of a racial thing that's sort of in the book about them. Now, Ned is very different from some other Vidalcans because they often tend towards wizards or they tend towards, artificers or anything like that. So the fact that he's a rogue and not with his family is quite weird about him. We have not gotten into that yet, but Ned is a loner for reasons. He certainly doesn't need to be doing what he's doing, but seems to have decided that this is what he would like to do. Yeah, he is an adventurer, a mercenary by choice, certainly. But those choices, there's a lot of background there for sure. That's a tease, but what are you gonna do?
So looking forward to the next time we see the Fortunate Fate characters. That will be on
a week from Wednesday.
The 27th. April 27th. Yep.
Correct.
And we don't have the exact cast yet, do we?
We have 2 amazing guests joining us who have not been announced yet. We'll be announcing that very soon, and we are working out the cast. So Gabe is actually set up this beautiful sort of rest stop in the middle of this dungeon, and this is kind of what we're talking about in terms of portals and in terms of magic things. It seems we are approaching this area. This whole we haven't even gotten into this yet. This whole structure of this magic dungeon, which is like dimensional bags of holding layered on top of each other, is so incredible. I'm blown away by it constantly. It really allows each floor to be whatever he wants it to be, which is incredibly impressive and terrifying, is what I meant to say. And so it seems at the end of the last episode that we landed in this space that seems to be almost like a small camp, like a waypoint. And so who knows who we'll find in this camp. But yes, really, really fascinated by it. We have so many more cool things in store, and Gabe's imagination just continues to blow my mind. It's giving him, like, he's created such a way to give himself so much free reign in terms of what he wants to do session to session, and also to include input from the viewers. I mean, you and I, Jessica, have not seen the Discord room, where apparently there's quite a lot of back and forth of, like, so I'm like offering choices and things along that. So
yeah, the Fortune and Fate secret room in the Discord. Yeah,
that's right. Again, join the Discord if you're not on it already, because apparently you can influence exactly what we're gonna come up against next. I guess the purple worm was a choice of the Discord, so thanks for that. Yay. But yes, yeah. So Fortune Fate is, as we said, continues to be on a bi-weekly schedule for now. Episode 3 will be back on the 27th. Super excited. But yeah, I mean, anything
and
else
we have some more special guests coming in May as well. At least we know through early May. We have some special guests.
In May, and then others will start to make their return as well. Yeah, it's basically, some cycling in, some cycling out. Basically, it's kind of, by the nature of the job, it's almost like you get subbed in, you get subbed out for this, which is really fun and allows us to learn a lot about each new character while still having guests and doing cool fun stuff like that. Yeah. Mr. Ryan Winters asks an excellent question. Was it weird to go from Dungeon Run to Fortune and Fate mindset-wise? What about you, Jess? What do you think?
I think it wasn't weird, I would say, but I think we hit our stride in this past week's episode, and
yes,
I think it just takes getting used to any new players that you're playing with, regardless. So I think it helped us a little bit more that it was our second time playing with at least Morgan and I and Ron, with each other and with Gabe. And so yeah, I wouldn't say weird, but I would definitely say it took it was a shift in mindset, certainly.
For sure. I mean, yeah, starting a new campaign is always a little bumpy. But
I don't think starting campaign 2 will be bumpy. I think it's going to be amazing.
This is true.
Because we're going to do some we have some pretty cool ideas for, can I say the how do I speak in code with you while we're streaming?
The
thing that happens before the thing.
That thing that we got that people got mad at us for not taping a million times about campaign 1.
Yeah, they know what we're talking about. We didn't do a very good job.
I don't think we're not gonna talk about exactly how we're gonna make it cool, but
but we have a cool idea for session 0.
Session 0.
Session zeros.
We heard one of the biggest questions we got over and over and over and over again was where is Session 0? Can we see it? And the truth is that no, we did not actually record our set, as far as I know, they did not record it.
That would be weird if they didn't record it, though. I mean, we were like in the studio.
We were doing a tech check the entire time, so even if there was footage, it would be kind of stop and start and weird, but we were just playing and honestly the tech was just going on all around us at the time, so I don't know, but yes.
So we're gonna do Session 0 in a new way.
We have some very cool ideas for Session 0,
and that's all to kind of like help hype us up for the campaign 2 season premiere, because we want this to be epic and also as seamless as we can get it, because as we know, the reason that we love campaign 1 is because of how much the characters care about each other and live in the reality of the situation, and so the more that we can get to that for campaign 2, the better.
Absolutely.
And that's going to involve Session 0.
That's really well said. I think to go back to a little bit of what you said about the adjustment from Heroes of Bingle to Fortune and Fate even when I'm playing with you and Ron, learning your new character is almost always like takes a moment of adjustment. It's like meeting new people sometimes, where you're just sort of like, what's their timing like? What do they do? You're like, oh, you're not gonna rush right in? Oh, okay, well then I will, I guess. Like stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
And even so I think there will always be a period of adjustment, but certainly playing with people the trust is kind of there immediately. I try to let people know that you can throw almost anything at me, and I'll bat it back at you with the tennis racket.
And I mean, even in the last session, I was running music, and I was like, guys, I need you to pick up where I am not picking up, because I can't focus on two things at once. And I trusted you to do that.
Yeah, no, it's a dynamic that is so fun. And even Christina, for instance, I mean, Christina and I have been friendly for a while, but this was the first time we'd ever played together, and I loved playing with her because she was someone who, by the nature of her character, she would often kind of hang back a little bit, but then as soon as you'd be like, Kaylee, and Christina would just be right there with just like home run.
Yeah.
home run, like every time. You're like, dang, okay, yeah. And so I love that energy sometimes. That's just so like picking her spots, which were really amazing, and had a wonderful time with that. But yeah, it's just sort of trusting to I'm gonna play this thing over, or I'm gonna try and run with this instinct I have right now. I trust you all to either respond to it or just continue on with what you're doing.
So
Yes.
Liquid27 has a comment here in chat. Cannot wait to see the new dynamic between the heroes of Bingo. Well, we will be not the heroes of Bingo. Who knows what we will be the heroes of? New characters or heroes? Question mark. New characters and new relationships have to be exciting. No? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the difference between Campaign 2 and Fortune and Fate is that when you go into a new ongoing long-term campaign in the style that Campaign 1 was, there's more time to relax and get to know each other a little bit more. The stakes can be a little bit lower, and that's exciting, because I think in the shorter form campaigns there's a little bit more pressure to communicate who you are in a shorter amount of time, but with a non-rotating cast you can trust that you will have a story arc that you can be on the journey of, and you're going to get the opportunity to finish that story arc, or at least develop that story arc. And so that is exciting. I mean, I only know who one of the other characters are at this in detail at this moment for the new campaign personally. I know Ron and Jared know more, but yeah, I'm excited to make new connections and new relationships with the new characters in campaign 2.
Yeah, I don't want to necessarily give away too many details about my character yet, but I will say he's very different from James. But he's still being played by me. So there will be recognizable bits of Morgan in there that are just sort of, inseparable from me. But it is fun. I'll be honest, there is pressure. It is a little weird, Liquid, where it's like James was so close to my heart and so close to my own head in a lot of ways that I am excited to try this out, and I have a character that I'm trying to reach the same sort of depth with, but is also a little bit more of a stretch. But having said that, I think there's still going to be a lot of ways that they're still going to be very reflective of parts of my mind and parts of my personality that I'm gonna let come out and play a little bit more.
Yeah, well, and as we know, as actors, when you try to fake it, when you try to put on a character that is what in your mind is so different from you, it doesn't work. I mean, even when you have these great actors who are character actors, what they're doing that give off these amazing performances is they're finding what in themselves is so similar to their characters.
Right.
And in Dungeons and Dragons, when it's not just a 2-hour movie or a 3-hour play that you do over and over again, this is a character that you have to play over, I mean, as we saw in campaign 1, hundreds and hundreds of hours. So
yes.
It's even more important to find, even if your character is drastically different, even if you are a cat person and you are not a cat person in real life, you have to find what you resonate with, what is similar in your character to them.
And yeah, I think that's always, a lot of people have talked about this in the past, but you have the difference of your character on paper that you come up with, and then your character as you play them. And
yeah, tell me more about that.
Well, it's often you start to find, you'll find the answer somewhere in the middle of, like, you know, it's like, oh, well, here's stuff here's part of myself that I'm going to have a hard time separating from just me as a player. But so it ends up creating this hybrid, like, amalgam character of not necessarily what you first intended. Like, there's parts of James or things you'll discover in game that Funky Librarian, perfect example. Whereas literally, like, if you would have asked me about James's backstory, of course there'd never be anything about him being a good dancer or anything like that. But I roll a nat 20 on a performance check at a party, and I'm like, I guess James is a good dancer.
No, actually, that's actually a really good hole in what I was just saying, because yeah, in a D&D game, you could just make a skill check or something chaotic could happen that really does give you something that could be so far from who you are in real life that you can't justify, that you really just have to make it up fantasy fairy tale style.
And that's improv sometimes, where you're just taking in the new stuff and going, is that something about me? Or is that just something that will come and I'll let it go? You know, and like Jared did it beautifully early in campaign 1 when he just had that stretch of just terrible rolls. And he was like, I think Civ thinks he's cursed, you know? And it was like, yep, yeah. And it's just sort of, and so you kind of are trying to take in all these things. And one of those things is this character that you laid out to begin with, but then you almost have to be willing to not forget it, but let other things supersede it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to set up the dominoes, and then I have no idea how they will fall.
Well, and to kind of piggyback off of that, Liquid just said in chat, the other characters will also throw a wrench in what you have planned while finding out the group 100%. Dynamic. Although I want to say that I would rephrase that actually as those are gifts. The gifts can change
completely.
I think it's important to look at it that way. You know, when I started campaign 1 with Fahima, I never knew that she would turn out the way she did, and that was because of gifts that were given to me by the cast, and also, you know, primarily by Jeff, you know, with his, I mean, I had no intentions at all, as we saw, of dabbling in blood magic and kind of what that would bring to my character until Jeff introduced that to the story. So, yeah, I would call those gifts for sure.
100%. And I mean, that's like real life, where when you go from about the different roles that we play in different groups that we're in. You amongst your family on Thanksgiving is probably completely different than you hanging out with your friends on another Thursday night some other time.
Oh yeah.
You know? And so and that can be fun, but, like, you know, a perfect example was like Ugo with the Heroes of Bingle, and then when we saw Ugo with Human Mama, it was like, what the sort of transformation he seemed to go over. It was like, whoa, okay, you know, some of your favorite stuff can happen that way. Yeah. I would say for my campaign 2 character, I'm definitely I finally have I had the bones. I just put a lot of meat on the bones this weekend. And I'm still going to spend the time between now and when the campaign 2 premiere is to really figure out what more about who they are. And I still have to keep in mind that that's all going to change because of what we're going to encounter. And it's interesting to start with a character that
is kind of a blank slate in that regard. You still have to have so much developed so that you know who you are, but there are a lot of question marks no matter what when you start a new character. And if you don't, sorry, let me just say really quick, if anybody's new to D&D or still working on, you know, getting better at developing character backstories or characters, if you don't leave question marks, if you don't leave room for growth or room for an arc of progress or improvement, you're only putting yourself in a corner, and you always have to yes and the story, and you always have to be open to change. So
and listen and be affected by the things that are happening around you.
So don't feel like you have to have everything figured out. My goal in character creation is to just figure out where, in as much detail as possible, what has happened to my character up until this point, and then figure out what it is at this point that they want.
Right.
And that could very well change. But I think there is a want that is more surface level of right now. Like, I want to find my dad. I want to explore the world with my new powers.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm playing Fahima again. Actually, I'm just playing Dahlia this time.
Oh, no, I'm kidding.
But then the greater goal would be, I want to find out, you know, in Fahima's case, I want to find out who I am, what I stand for.
Yeah.
Both of those are important to figure out.
Yeah. No, I think that's about just coming prepared, but then coming with flexibility of just ready to throw out whatever, ready to, you know, listen and become the part of the group that you never knew or anything like that. This is actually funny. We'll get back to campaign 2 in a second, but last night I DM for friends on the side. I've not DM'd on stream. I'm still not very good at it. I'm still very nervous about it. But there is a campaign that I've been DMing for friends for over a year at this point. And we had a really hilarious session last night where our most chaotic party member, he couldn't be there. He had work stuff and it just pulled him away. And he's like, so it was hilarious because we were mid-combat and I couldn't pull him out of the story. It was impossible. And so it became, what does our most chaotic character do with every one of his turns by committee? And it was sort of a hilarious team building exercise of like, well, he could just run up and attack her. He is a monk. And they're like, yeah, but come on, this is this guy that we're talking about. He wouldn't just do that. Let's think about it. Let's get crazier, you know? And that was sort of fun, as sort of a fun group building exercise. In terms of like what you know about each other's characters, because we've been playing together for some like 20 sessions at this point with that party. But yeah, it's about like listening and being flexible and just adapting to each other and allowing that to grow the group in its own way. I think that I'm so excited for Ron and Jared's Arcane Artistry on Wednesday night. Basically, I to kind of give people a little bit of a preview, as I understand it, we're going to be talking a lot about world building and a lot about setting and a lot about like setting, basically what we were just talking about, which is like setting up those benchmarks and those dominoes. Some of those dominoes are going to be very big and some of those dominoes are going to be very small. And then it's about finding, like, when you drop these characters into this world, what starts to happen and where do they respond and where do they go, where are they drawn to, and what do they reject, what do they destroy, you know, something like that. So I'm really looking forward to that. And so I know there's been a lot of questions for them and they'll be taking a lot of those questions, but
it's over in the Discord if you'd like to ask a question as well.
Yes, and I think there's some things on the Patreon as well. Jared just posted a cast secret and also something for all the patrons as well. He did double duty this weekend, which is amazing. Yeah, but very exciting. I'm excited to hear things. I've heard a little bit about, I think, so we've talked about it already. Campaign 2 will not be taking place directly in Ain. We've sort of acknowledged that, but which has a lot of reasons why. But having said that, it will exist in the same universe, as Ein. It's hard to know what word to call it when we're in a place where there's like magic exists. And so
I'm sure Jared and Ron can deal with that on Wednesday, kind of explaining exactly how they have phrased it, because I know that they have done hours and hours of work on that.
Yes, and I think I think that's one of the things that I'm most excited about is finding. I know that like we're finding the Easter eggs. That's timely. Happy Easter, everybody. Finding the Easter eggs in terms for all of us, not just us, the players, but the cast and everything like that. Just finding the little ways that it will overlap with, because I have some ideas myself, but I have no idea how it will actually embody in the story. You know, yeah, the same multiverse. Yeah, it's the TDR extended universe. It's the TDR EU. Because there's so many things already in play. Heroes of Bingle have not only given us this beautiful story, but it's also given us this wider universe that now, you know, while there may be things with Ein and the Urn of Invention and all this other stuff that's happening over here, all this other stuff can be happening over here and still be connected in very strange, interesting, unexpected ways. So that kind of stuff is I'm very excited. And Jared K. Jackson.
Hi,
chat.
Jared.
Tune in Wednesday night. We are so excited for it.
But I will say with character creation, I'm not taking any of that into consideration. Character creation is coming from a place of completely blank slate, because I think we can say that the characters do not know anything about they don't have any connection to Ein. They wouldn't know any of the characters from Ein. They wouldn't know how Ein works necessarily, so...
I am not playing Joral's cousin, I'm sorry.
It's not to say they couldn't eventually.
Sure.
Just we don't know what Jared and Ron have planned, but as of character creation, they do not.
That's correct. Yeah, and I think you and I, as actors as well, we have I don't know if, I assume you approach it this way too, where it's almost like casting myself. It's casting myself in a role that, like, what's a role that I know I could bring something to, bring some truth to, because I want to play it well. I want to play it well for you all and for myself as well. That is like, what is a character that I can bring some personality to and some personal connection to, but then will also be fun to just play around with. And so, yeah, we talked about that a little bit before, but it's like a long-term character that I'm going to be living with for a while. It's exciting. It's exciting to play around with.
You know, I hadn't actually thought of it that way until you mentioned that to me recently about casting yourself as the character, and I think that is important to do. I think it helps.
I mean, it's not
make the
like
process a little bit easier.
Yes, yeah, it's not like you have to look anything like them, of course, or anything.
Certainly
you know,
not.
but also just, yeah, you know, physicality or just mental, like, personality or parts of your personality that you kind of want to, as I said, like, bring out and play a little more, stuff like that. You know, ways you can connect to. Yeah.
I mean, kind of to go back to what you were saying earlier about your process in creating your character, I too, with this new character, am exploring a new aspect of myself that Fahima did not explore. Although, you know, just like any other actor that you may see, any character that they play is going to bring a huge part of themselves, and so these characters are not going to be radically different necessarily, because they'll always have us. They're going to have our voice and our hearts, and but that's why we like the actors that we do. That's how casting works. You know, you want to see whatever that person brings to the table to this character, and that's delightful. And
no, there's so many interesting things, and I mean, I've said this, it's been interesting to see you play other characters, because I've said this before, but like I came to know you as Fahima basically, and then these whenever I see you play other characters, I'm like, whoa, interesting. It's like finding out, it's like, oh, that person's in there too? Okay, fascinating. A little bit of Brick, a little bit of Zell, a little bit of, oh gosh, what was the Sapphire Lights character's name? I'm blanking.
Elodie.
Elodie.
Yeah, but
Elodie still freaks me out.
One-shot characters are different from long-term characters.
They are.
I would say my long-term characters...
But it says something about you that you looked at that character and went, yeah, I want to play around in that skin for a little while. And you're like, oh, okay.
I will say that my long-term characters do feel, although they are all radically different. You know, I had a human paladin and a half-orc barbarian and a human warlock, and a water genasi sorcerer. They're all my long-term characters. They all still had my heart a little more than Frick or Elodie. And even Brick was built as a one-shot character, but I would love to play him in a long-term campaign.
Yeah, there were so many questions. Going back to Kaylee and Brick a little bit, like Aasimars are, I find people go one of two ways with Aasimars, where it is that like angelic, strangely joyful, but so you're kind of like, what is that person's deal? Which was very much the Brick and Kaylee, or the sort of removed, almost indifferent sort of, you know, watching, like kind of, you know, hard to break type of Aasimar who's just sort of literally and figuratively above it all. I find people play Aasimars one of two ways. But yeah, again, Christina was such a joy, and again, if you haven't watched Fortune and Fate episode 2, get on it. It was so much fun.
We have a couple of questions in chat. I want to go back to what Neofet highlighted their message in chat, which you can do with your clam channel points.
Yes.
What are you looking forward to most? Oop, we just scrolled. What are you looking forward to most with the new campaign? New PCs, encounters, or setting?
All of it? No. I think the setting, what I've heard about the setting already is super fascinating. And I'm sort of keeping my scope kind of concentrated with it, because I think my character only knows so much, and all of our characters only know so much, and so you're getting this glimpse of this larger goings on in these larger worlds. But for just for the sake of my character, I just really need to know that. But every now and then when I glimpse X or Y, you're like, whoa, okay, that's amazing. Yeah.
It's hard to separate encounters from setting, because we have no way of knowing what the encounters will be, but we can sort of guess based on what we do know about the setting. So I would say the encounters for me, because that's kind of like what makes up the story, right? It's
right.
the plot points that come. But I am very excited to play my new character and dig into that.
Yeah. And I think I saw someone mention earlier, so as far as who's going to be in the new campaign. So as we've said, it is Jared and Ron co-DMing, which again will be another thing to adjust to and that I'm excited about, but also will be an adjustment is I've never played with two DMs before.
Me either.
So wanting to learn the new timing of that, not only for them to learn with each other, but we as players sort of learning that also. I'm really excited about that.
Well, and that's what Session 0 will hopefully be about too. But I mean,
100%.
if you have any questions about that, be sure to show up for the Wednesday stream, because you can get all of those questions answered. Thank you for that cheer, Carson. Hi.
Carson. But also, so at player side, it's going to be me, Jessica, Katie, and we are going to have two new cast members who have not been announced yet, that we are very excited about. And also, I think we can say this, we hope to involve guests more often. I don't, it certainly won't be as often as Fortune and Fate. Fortune and Fate was sort of designed to be, a fun sort of way station for different adventurers. This will be a core cast, and then, but with occasional guests. And that's something we're really excited to do more of with the new campaign as well.
I can't wait until we can say more about campaign 2.
I know. We're choosing our words so carefully, but also if you're hungry, for that, Wednesday night. I'm not just saying that as programming for the channel.
But even Wednesday, we can't say everything that we know about campaign 2.
Well, and there's so many things that's, there's a little bit like showmanship, and you're like, you think you want to know everything before we start. You don't really. But it's also like, there's things that change. There's things that are still in the works. This is, I mean, world building stuff. It's one of the reasons that as a DM, I use modules. I use the books. I can't homebrew worlds personally myself. But yeah, it's been a fascinating sort of journey to watch Ron and Jared, who are excel at this stuff, to kind of birth this completely new realm seemingly out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that they were good at
connecting it in different ways. Yeah,
I knew they were good at D&D, but the questions that I have asked or you know, requests that I have made in my character creation process, and the response that I get, as well as the depth of the answer that I get. Just the other day, I messaged Ron and I was like, hey, I'm having trouble coming up with a reason for this in my character. Can I call you? And he was like, yep, call me. I'm free today. And we had like, I don't know, close to an hour discussion where he was just like, had a waterfall of information and ideas.
Amazing.
And I was like, this was in you the whole time? Oh my God.
Yeah, it's so great. It's really impressive, and I can't wait for everybody to... I know they're going to knock everybody's socks off. Bent Wookie asked, do we have a premiere date set yet? June. We will... June, it will happen in June.
I didn't know he could say that.
Oh,
June.
maybe I shouldn't have.
I don't know. Look, you're Marvel. Marvel said it, not me.
We haven't talked about you calling me that. I don't... We'll have a discussion about that after. I'm uncomfortable with that.
What? You could call one of the most successful franchises in the world?
That's very sweet. It's very sweet. Yes, we are certainly looking at early summer, is what we're looking at. And so, but with more dates coming soon. Yes, for sure. Lots more to update with. I will remind you all, we are so excited about campaign 2. Here's a Bingle hasn't been done for 3 weeks yet, guys. So it's like we are moving at a breakneck pace.
Yeah.
And we are all hungry, but we are moving at a breakneck pace.
Yeah, because I mean, to be honest, we didn't find out about Jeff's departure too much before you did. So
no.
we haven't had that much time to plan for the new campaign. So we're going as fast as we can.
we are ducks. We are ducks who are under the surface. Our feet are going like this, and sometimes above the surface too.
We had another highlighted comment here from GamerShare.
Yes.
Which of your ongoing characters would you have loved? Which ongoing character of yours would you have loved one of your one-shot characters to meet?
Oh, interesting. That's a very good question. I haven't played him on one of our streams yet, but there is Grigsby, who is a dwarf. He's a dwarf drunken master monk that I really enjoyed, and I played him on a couple Jasper's Game Day streams. I use a Wisconsin accent for him, so he's just sort of a big squishy guy, and he's super nice, and it really enjoys his booze. I would like to. I don't know if I would do a long-term campaign with him, but I really enjoy that character. I mean, he and James would probably have a good time, though you know, he's a very nice, accepting dwarf. So yeah, it's just he's there to help people have a good time.
I've never played a dwarf before.
There's something fun about dwarves. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's my Scottish heritage. I enjoy a good dwarf. No, where there's something kind of stout and no nonsense about them that I kind of enjoy, and that gives me a lot of. When I form new characters, I often look for how I can look at what's known about that race or sometimes that class or whatever, and then how I can subvert it. This is something that I will say about my new campaign character is, once again, similar to James, but in a very different way. He is not all that he seems. Your first impression of him will almost certainly have to, you will learn new things about him. And that is something, when I create new characters, that's something that I like to try for. Whether it's, I played for a while a tiefling life cleric. So he was was a tiefling, and his family was, you know, from the Nine Hells and all this stuff, but he was a follower of Pelor, you know, and he was and so it was often like how you can take the expectations and then show you, yeah, but I'm not all that I seem. There's more to me than you might guess. You know, things of that nature. So dwarves are fun because I think they're, whether it's Lord of the Rings or whatever it is, you have so many preconceived notions about dwarves, which gives you a lot of fun things to play with. And you'd be like, I am kind of like that, but I'm also like this, which you don't expect at all, you know? So that's fun to play with sometimes.
To answer the question, I would say that I think it would be the most fun for Brick to meet Zell. And both of those characters are between one shot and ongoing, I would say.
Sure.
Both of them have extensive backstories, so they're not really one shot characters, but I've only played them in shorter term campaigns.
Right.
Because, I mean, you've seen what Zell's personality is like. She's like, all right. What are we doing here?
Pretty matter of fact.
New tolerance.
Let's get this done.
All right.
Yes.
And Brick would just, I think Brick would just, she would hate Brick. She would hate him, but he would persist, and then they would become the most unlikely dynamic duo.
That's right. That's right.
And she would love his murder rainbows. Yes, Will Meister, she would love the murder rainbows.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Any judgment you might have about Brick will be cured either when you see the murder rainbows or when Brick brings you back to life.
I mean, yeah, Brick was like such a unassuming character, but Amy's description of how he played his powers made him like super powerful, and I was like, well, great, love this. I love this for me.
I mean, yeah, you I love this for me. I love this journey for me. Yeah, I think there's a D&D meme about it that is one of the most hilarious things, where it's just sort of like, Session 1, you're like, I came up with a furball bard who's just a clown who throws pies at people. And then like Session 20, you're like, go. you're like, I am the most loyal, noble like character who is about to sacrifice myself, and it's still just a furball clown. You know, it's just, you create these characters as almost as a joke, and then 10 sessions in, it is the most dramatic thing you've ever done. Sometimes that can happen. Not that Brick is a joke. Brick is certainly not a joke. But Brick is one of those characters. Brick is one of those characters like, what's that kid's deal? And then the more you learn about them, you're like, whoa, okay, yikes.
So Seraphith Fall in chat says, what are the plans between Fortune and Fate and season 2? I know you mentioned an arcane artistry this week. Yes. So this upcoming week is, I mean, we can call it arcane artistry. We can call it, you know, whatever we'd like, but it's
ask the DMs, whatever you like.
Yeah, it's Jared and Ron discussing campaign 2, and the following week after that is Fortune and Fate. The week after that is TBD, but most likely is going to be a gaming night with the cast. And then Fortune and Fate again. So we're going to keep Fortune and Fate every other week for now. And in between will either be arcane artistry or gaming together or hanging out together in some capacity.
Yeah, I think that's... thank you for laying out the schedule so well like that. Yeah, I think it will eventually balance out. The campaign 2 will sort of eventually become the new sort of full-time campaign, so to speak, with Fortune and Fate being... by its nature designed sort of connected, you know, one shots, but also with the kind of the fun of an overall campaign as well. It's really, Gabe is doing such an amazing job, and that was the idea with Fortune and Fate from the get-go, is like, what if you could jump in every episode, but also still get those rewards for coming back every time and seeing how each character is slightly different and how they grow and everything. But we're still growing that, and so they will balance out a bit more, but the idea with campaign 2 being the more full-time campaign later on. I just saw a fun question here. One second. Ryan Winters, Jess and Morgan, would you rather be in a super edgy campaign or in a lawful good character campaign? That's a tough question, actually. An all lawful good campaign would be pretty hard.
I don't think it's possible, honestly. I really don't.
Listen. On this show, I don't think you could. Because some people on the Discord like to guilt us for anything we do. No, no, I'm kidding. I love you all. But a lawful good campaign would actually be really difficult, which almost makes me think. I agree with Liquid, where it's like kind of lawful good is kind of edgy though in its own way. It's become edgy because everybody's chaotic good. It would be interesting. Doing a super dark edgy campaign or an all evil. I've never done an all evil campaign. I think I would be okay. I think I would be all right with it. My only issues are when I'm not a big fan of evil characters being dropped into a party with non-evil characters.
It's hard. Yeah.
It can get tricky. Because literally, like, you find a new item. Yeah, but I grabbed it. You don't get to use it.
Yeah.
Like, what? You know, it can work, but everybody has to be on board with it, and there can be a lot of like angry feelings. Speaking from some personal experience, so it super dark and edgy could be interesting. It's just everybody needs to be on board for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I played a couple of sessions in a all monster campaign, which was inherently evil, because, well, sort of. The idea was that, I mean, we were all monsters, so we did evil things and killed humanoids mercilessly. Yeah. But from our perspective, we were not evil. We were just doing it's just a script reversed. So
sure,
it's evil, but it wasn't evil. You know.
I get that. That could be fun. Yeah, where you're just monsters and the monsters are the humans this time, or the monsters are whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they really were. Yeah.
That's fun. That's fun for perspective. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess a lawful good campaign, there could be something there, but you know. Weirdly, lawful, I saw someone say this, lawful evil is the scariest class.
Yeah, like Littlefinger. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where it's someone who stays inside the lines and still manages to use it to their own means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it means they've justified everything that they do.
Lawful neutral might be the hardest class to play. I tried to do it once, and I went lawful good pretty fast.
Yeah, how do you stay in between on that? I don't know.
You just literally, it's letter of the law.
Letter of the law.
Even if it means throwing a family out on the street because they didn't, you know, do something right. Letter of the law. And
that seems like evil, though. Unless you're only choosing evil.
I mean, yeah, it can go either way. That it's tough. Yeah, Carson, I agree that chaotic good is the most flexibility, you know, or anything like that. But it depends on how chaotic you like your chaotic good, I guess. But yes, I agree. I think a lot of people are into chaotic good with good reason. But yes.
Well, we're about at time, so yes. Is there one more question we want to get to before we end for the day?
Let's see. I want to make sure we caught all of them.
And if anybody has anyone they want to raid, let us know in chat.
Got it. Let's see. And then what else? Yeah, we answered that. We're PCs, yeah. But yeah, so with any additional questions, come back on Wednesday night with Ron and Jared, or ask it in the Discord. They are compiling an already very long list of questions. Wednesday night's going to be a lot of fun with the new DMs as we see what we're in store for with Campaign 2. Yes, and as we said, the VOD of Fortune and Fate Episode 2 is available now, so get on that. That's going to be a blast. And the new episode of Fortune and Fate will be coming a week from Wednesday. A week from today, we'll be back with a new dungeon cooldown next Monday. But yeah, Jess, have a great week.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, I know.
And we'll see you all Wednesday.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye,
have a great
everybody.
day. Bye. Humankind.
Be both.
Be both.